Hey, welcome to another Enneagram podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yet another Enneagram podcast. But this one's different. Another Enneagram podcast is here to help you be a better leader for your team.
We know leadership is already challenging enough, and it can be downright frustrating when your team communication breaks down.
Another Enneagram podcast is here to tell you stories of leaders just like you who are learning how to lead their teams better with the Enneagram. If you want your team to communicate better, be more productive, and love their jobs, another Enneagram podcast is for you. Hey, welcome back to another Enneagram podcast. This is your host, Ryan, and your other host, Cody, and we are wrapping up, final episode wrapping up, our top 10 Enneagram questions mini-series. So like always, thanks for sharing these little episodes with people. Hope they have been great and informative and even slightly entertaining for you. So here we are, end of the road. Cody, what are you feeling right now?
I feel like this has been great. I feel like this has been a cool little series, even for people to they're trying to figure out some Enneagram stuff. But I just think it's really funny and interesting that this is where we're going to land on number one. Out of all the questions that you've ever received, and this one feels like the most Facebook pop-up quiz question.
It does. And we won't make people wait any longer, other than to say that the reason this is number one is because it is the one that I have been asked the most, and part of me hates that. But here it is. Number one. Which numbers make the best combination in romantic relationships?
Oh my gosh. I love it. Is it a cop out if I just say that that's a ridiculous question? Because
if you go into more detail and explain why it's a really ridiculous question,
sure,
go for it.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll say it like this. I have, since being introduced to the Enneagram, I have seen and met a lot of couples that are of the same type. Like I've met a lot of 2 and 8 combos. I've met a lot of 9 and 9 combos. I've met quite a few 7 and 9 combos. And there are definitely things in that would stick out, like right out of the gate, of kind of like, oh, I know why you guys would be compatible. Like Bob Goff, he's one of my favorite 7s in the world, and he's married to a 9. He always talks about that she's the string to his balloon, kind of thing. And if you know 7s and 9s, you know what I'm talking about. But I'll just say this, and why I think that question's kind of, I'll just call it silly, is the fact that I don't think there's some magic combination. I don't think that there's things in each type that would make them more compatible with another number. I think any relationship takes work. I think any relationship is going to have its ups and downs. There are certain things, like I have some really good friends that they're both 9s that are married, and they're a cool couple because it's just kind of like, whatever, and I love that. But that doesn't mean that they're more compatible than a 1 and a 5 or, whatever.
Right.
And so, yes, every type is going to have its strengths and weaknesses as it pertains to relationships. And we referenced this a while back, but there's a few different resources that we brought up that actually give some insight into those relationships and how different types will work and have stress points in their relationship with each other. I think my final answer in all of that is just that I don't believe that one combination of types is going to have a better chance of a successful relationship just based off of their core type.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more, man. I think it doesn't matter the actual number as much as it does, like you were saying, relationships take work. And there is no combination that's going to be like, oh, we get along perfectly. And even if you're the same type, that's the thing too, is like you put 2 9s together, you got problems. You put two 4s together, you got problems. Like it doesn't matter if you're the same number or different. Every number is going to have things in common with other numbers and things that frustrate them about other numbers. And so, yeah, no magic combination, no silver bullets there by any means. You know, you were talking about ones that you have seen a lot of, and I think most people that have been in this conversation very much could probably say some different combinations that they see often. But what I love is that most of the time when I've heard people make statements like that, they're always different from other people. So the one that I see the most is one that you didn't even name, which is 8s and 9s together. I know more 8 and 9 couples, bar none, than any other combination. Wow. And honestly, it's usually a female 8 with a male 9. I know a lot of those.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, you ask 10 different people who are in on this conversation and you'll probably get 10 different answers for what they see most often. And so that's just more to the point of what we're saying of there's not, oh, you're a 6, you should definitely be with this number, right? Like far more important than that is how healthy are each of you in those numbers. You know, you talked a few episodes ago about, levels of development, right? And how healthy or unhealthy a person is. And those I think matter far more. You can get any combinations to work if you're both operating in a healthy way. And if you take 2 numbers that you think will be perfect together and you're not doing that in a healthy way, it's not going to work. So sorry to bust the balloon on that for everybody that was hoping to figure out who they were supposed to be getting with on this podcast, but that's not what we're about here.
Yeah. 2 unspoken rules of the Enneagram community is don't type other people and don't play matchmaker with types. Don't do that. Nobody appreciates that. Well, I'll say this just for example, as you were talking, I was thinking about this, but Ryan and I are actually both married to 6s. But there's no way that you and I could sit down and be like, well, here is the one way to be the husband to a 6, because our wives, even though they share a core type, they are different in insane amount of ways. And then us and how we pursue them, love them, serve them, like that, even that looks totally different. And there's a ton of things that go into that. There's, like you said, wings and subtypes and all kinds of stuff that, there's even like the moment by moment level of stress and different things like that. And so, I think every relationship is unique. There are definitely some things to learn. Like you referenced that book, The Path Between Us. I mean, that's an incredible book about how to use, the Enneagram as a tool to develop your relationships. But even that's going to have some holes and gaps. And so, I think it's cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man.
All right. Well, that's the end of our top 10 series. I hope people have enjoyed it and found it beneficial. As always, again, just asking that you would share it with somebody who you think would benefit from it. We would appreciate that greatly. And we'll catch you back here on the next episode of another Enneagram podcast.
See you later.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on another Enneagram podcast.
As fellow leaders, we know it can be frustrating when it seems like you always run into the same problems on your team with the same people. But leaders just like you are learning how to lead their teams better using the Enneagram, and you can too.
So if you like what you heard today, we would love it if you would share this podcast on social media and leave a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts, preferably only good, reviews and ratings. That would be great.
If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram. We're at Another Enneagram, or head over to our website, anotherenneagram.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of Another Enneagram podcast.